Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic Hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk to you about the season and series finale of Star Trek Discovery. The episode was called Life Itself. As the episode begins, Michael wakes up after having jumped into the portal at the end of last week's episode in a weird place. And when she touches what looked like a kind of indoor waterfall, she finds herself thrown to the ground on some planet or other in a rainstorm, at which point she's attacked by a Breen soldier who must have been one of the ones who went through the portal before her. As they fight, he ends up getting blown away in some strong winds, the next gust of which Michael uses to blow herself over a rock structure to get back up onto the platform she fell from. She very quickly finds out that the Breen soldier also made it up, but before he can attack her, Maul drops out of the sky, as it were, and shoots him, and Michael gives her her dermal regenerator so that she can fix a wound to her femoral artery. The two of them then form a sort of alliance so that they can help each other get to the tech. Meanwhile, Discovery is under attack as it tries to get a hold of the portal, and Saru heads out in a shuttle with Nan to try to turn back the opposing Breen Primarch. Michael and Maul fail to keep their alliance and wind up fighting each other on different landscapes after jumping or falling off of and then back onto the platform. Book takes the shuttle into some crazy black hole-laden radiation to try to get to the portal, and Culber goes with him over Stamets' objections because something tells him he needs to. Michael and Maul call another truce at Michael's behest, which is funny because Michael started the fight, and they soon activate another portal to a weird-looking place. At the same time, Saru speaks with the interloping Breen Primarch and offers her the establishment of a trade route through the Motara Nebula if she turns around, but she rebuffs him. Michael and Maul make progress in getting to the tech, and Michael realizes they need to solve a puzzle using the secret phrase she was given. But when she's distracted by a signal from Book, Maul knocks her out and tries to solve the puzzle alone. When Book has trouble locking his tractor beam onto the portal, Dr. Culber figures out the exact frequency that they need to use in order to get it to lock on. Saru threatens the Breen Primarch with an attack on her base of operations by its neighbor worlds with which he has influence, which would weaken her and keep her from being able to win the Breen throne. Michael comes to and solves the puzzle, which Maul had messed up trying to solve it, because of course she does, and she meets the projection of the mind of a progenitor who says they've been waiting for Michael. And they also say that they need to teach Michael to use the technology. They explained that a person cannot be resurrected, only copied, as well as that the progenitors did not create the portal, as it's older than they are and was created by something else. Dr. Culber reveals that he knew the frequency to lock onto the portal with from the memory of the trill he had hosted previously. Discovery comes up with a scheme to separate the saucer from the secondary hull of Discovery so that they can surround the Breen ship and use the spore drive as well as quantum entanglement to jump the Dreadnought and the other Primarch's scout ship to the galactic barrier to take them out of the field of play. This plan works, but I don't really understand why, because the spore drive jumps Discovery. So why, if you separate Discovery into two halves, would it jump what's between them if the pieces of the ship are quantum entangled? Wouldn't it just jump them as two separate parts? I didn't understand that. Anyway, the projection of the progenitor tells Michael she will be the steward of the tech despite her flaws, if she wants to be, and lets her return to friends to help them and consider the offer. She's retrieved by the shuttle Book was piloting and is reunited with her crew and Saru aboard Discovery, and says she thinks the tech needs to be essentially destroyed because it's too powerful for any one person or entity to possess, on the idea that the beings who created it could recreate it if they wanted to. Book visits Maul to see how she's recovering and to let her know he's there if she needs him, to which she seems receptive. Michael visits Kovic and he tells her he's got plans for Maul in an infinity room containing TNG and DS9 artifacts before revealing that he's Agent Daniels from Enterprise. Several weeks later, Saru and Trina get married, but we don't see the ceremony. We just see a moment of the reception. At the reception, Tilly announces that she's going to start a mentorship program at Starfleet Academy. Book reveals that his sentence for what he did last season has been commuted, and he and Michael express their mutual affection for each other and seem to get back together before she's called away to another Infinity Room meeting, and she takes Book with her. We then jump to a point years in the future to find Michael and Book together in some sort of house on an absolutely gorgeous planet, as Michael is preparing to go do something important. We see that she is still in possession of her Infinity Room transporter and learn that she's now an admiral, about to be picked up by her and Book's Starfleet captain's son, who's apparently about to get his own command. And on the way to their destination, they have a talk about life and family and crew and stuff. Michael is taken to Discovery, which is having the A removed from its registry number, to take it on a red directive mission to where we saw it in the short trek from a couple of seasons ago, where Discovery had been abandoned in space for a very, very long time. And Michael seems to have a flashback to the time of season 5, where we see Detmer and Awashikun among the crew. After which, Michael just jumps the ship to that set of coordinates in space where it was left empty and waiting for some reason that we still don't have the explanation for. And that's where the season and, of course, the series ended. So, as an episode of television, this was okay. I didn't see any major flaws in the wrap up or the conclusion of the Progenitors tech story, except for the very end, where after all of that, they essentially go, yeah, we're just gonna shoot it into the event horizon of this Lagrange point, and it'll probably get destroyed, and yeah, because no one should have it. Which I don't know. I guess that makes sense. I guess that was the right thing to do, because it would really be weird for any one person or entity to have that much power. So I guess we should have seen that coming. And I guess it suits their purpose, which was to keep someone bad from getting it, which I guess they did. So I guess it's fine, but like it still comes off super lame after a whole season of episodes where they were hell bent on finding the thing, especially because they don't even take the time to study it before they jettison it. And that just seemed really dumb. And, I think that type of ending would have made more sense at the end of a single episode, or maybe a 2 or 3 episode story where they're searching for this thing. And after, 2 or 3 episodes, maybe 2 the most, I should say, they decide, you know what, this isn't something people should have, and they get rid of it. But they hemmed and hawed and hemmed and hawed and fought and persevered, and through 10 episodes of bullshit, only in the end to go, we'll just send it into a black hole kind of thing. And I'm sorry, but that just it makes sense, but at the end of all that buildup, it kind of feels like really. So I didn't appreciate that. But the rest of the episode was fine. There weren't any major flaws that I noticed in that particular episode. But like I said earlier, I didn't understand the whole jumping the Dreadnought away using the Spore Drive, which doesn't at the same time jump Discovery. It didn't make sense to me. That's not how the Spore Drive works. It was cool to see the saucer step on the Discovery, though, even though we didn't really see it. But they do it, and that's pretty cool because that hadn't come up before. In terms of the revolution of the story arc itself, like I said, I didn't like how they ended it. I also didn't like the whole thing with Kovich. Like, why did they have to make him Agent Daniels? What meaning does that have? What purpose does it serve? Other than to give him a big wow reveal, I didn't see what that had to do with anything. What plans does he have for Maul? Like, what's that got to do with anything? She's just a regular person. Like, I don't understand why that would even come up. Why wouldn't she go to prison? I didn't understand that. The resolution of Hugh's story arc didn't make sense. I mean, it was again kind of lame. It falls flat, like he hemmed and hawed a bunch of times over the course of the season. And in the end, he's like, "Oh, I now have like telepathy." And that's cool. Like, what was the point of that? I didn't get that. And they didn't do anything with Rayner. I guess, oh, he grew a little bit over the course of the season. Okay. Why doesn't he get promoted back to captain? Why couldn't they have worked a line of dialogue in there where he gets promoted to captain? I made a prediction video. I said they were going to promote him to captain and give him the Discovery when Michael was going to go off and be the administrator of the tech. The second part of that almost happened. They offered it to her because she's the true space Jesus. She just happens to have turned it down, which is even more space Jesus-y, right? Because it's altruistic. So I was kind of on the right track, but I didn't get it quite right. But The reason I predicted that they would promote Rayner to captain is because that's what makes sense for the character. That would have been a resolution to his arc, whether they did the thing with Michael or not, but they left it hanging. He doesn't get discovery, he doesn't get any ship, doesn't get promoted, nothing. He's just gonna go on, I guess, being Michael's first officer, which I guess is okay, but like, what? Come on. They should have promoted him back to captain. Stupid. While we're on the subject of my predictions video, I did have some musings in that video that weren't actually predictions, and I wondered whether we'd get any cameos, and I guess we did in the form of an older Agent Daniels, as I was saying earlier, but why? 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 Of all the cameos they could have done, they did that one. Why? I don't understand. Anyway, now let's talk about the resolution of the series, which is separate from the resolution of the series 5 story. They brought Detmer and Awashikun back. They didn't speak. They're just in this, and it's not in real time. It's a flashback. They brought them back in a flashback at the end, and they don't have any lines. So they disappeared in like episode 3 or 4, whatever it was, and that's it. They've been there from the beginning. They disappear at the end of episode 3 or 4, whatever it was, and get written out with a line of dialogue, and then they come back, don't speak, and it's only in a flashback. So bad. If I were those actors, I'd be so pissed that they did that to me. Just terrible treatment. Not only that, but the other characters who were in the series the whole time, Stamets, Culber, Tilly, Adira for the last few seasons, and even Saru, I think all got screwed. They all got screwed in the resolution department. Yeah, we know Saru became an ambassador and he married Tarina, whatever the hell her name is, the president of Not Vulcan. But like his send-off I thought was really weak and he deserved much better. Tilly got one line about how she was the longest serving tenured professor at the academy. Nothing about the brilliant engineer Stamets or Dr. Culber. No idea what became of them after this. No idea what becomes of Adira. Not that anybody cares, but like they left that completely out. It would have been nice if they said something about what happened to original Lorca. Never find out about that. And why was Michael's conversation about how she found her family in Starfleet and found her purpose and all that? Why wasn't it with Tilly or, Saru? I mean, I know they had to do reshoots to wrap up the series and maybe they weren't available. I don't know. But that scene just seems so weirdly contrived with it being her son who's going to get a command, but you don't hear of what ship. It felt like a conversation she should have been having with her crew, not her son. They just botched, I think, the wrap up of the series. They really, really did. And then, they try to wedge in the explanation for that one short trek that they had where Discovery was left alone and was waiting crewless for 1,000 years or whatever it was, where they have to show them removing the A from the hull because, of course, when they made the short trek, it didn't have an A. It only got it later. So they had to remove it to make it make sense. But they don't tell you why. They don't tell you why they're removing it. They just remove it so you go, oh, okay. Yeah. But they don't explain it. And then they drop the vaguest possible explanation for why they're sending it off to these coordinates to sit there and wait for craft. Which if you're not going to explain why do it? It would have been better to just leave it unexplained. But they come up with this lame thing like, oh, it was sent, they piloted it manually, with a crew. So even though it's this sophisticated 32nd century intelligent computer ship that could have just jumped there by itself, because Michael says we're going to go there and then the crew's going to leave, and they don't show a crew, it's just her. Then we're going to leave and you're going to sit there, she says to Zora. And it's like, why can't the ship jump itself? They wanted to explain the stupid thing that they did and then never explained when they had 3 seasons to do it in a 2-minute sequence so the fans wouldn't say, oh, you never explained it. But it's still dumb because it seemed very clear in the short trek that what happened to the crew was not planned. It seemed like the crew suddenly had to abandon the ship and not that it was some planned thing. Well, the ship was sent here for a purpose and then the crew that jumped it there manually for no reason had to leave. It just doesn't make sense. And I think it ruins the short trek that they did because it was mysterious and like foreboding and, well, what happened? And now nothing happened. They just jumped it there to wait for some reason, which we still don't know really what it was because at the end of the short trek, it's not like anything major happened. So I think they wrapped up the series very lamely, and that's partly because they didn't know it was coming. They had shot the season and then they had to do reshoots. I don't know. You think they could have just let them, because they extended the episode. The episode was an hour and a half, which is good because I thought they were going to spend 2 minutes wrapping it up, and they spent like 20 minutes wrapping it up or whatever, which I thought was a lot better. At least we got that. But like, why didn't they just do a regular 1 hour episode and then to wrap up the season and then add an 11th freaking episode? Why? Why did the wrap up of the series only get 20 minutes, which again is better than 2 minutes? It's better than what I thought they were going to do. But like, I don't know. It seems like they could have, because I don't know. I think as an episode, it was fine. But as a resolution of the season long arc, it had a lot of dumb, if you look at it through that lens. And as a wrap up to the series, I think we got some nice visuals. We got a couple of nice notes. Michael's future Admiral uniform was pretty cool. They did a good job with the aging makeup. The planet that we see them on at the end, which may or may not have been Earth, I don't think it was because there was a weird deer creature, was cool. But like, I don't know. I think they wrapped it up poorly. I think the characters got screwed, a lot of them, because it was always the Michael show. That's not how they wrapped up TNG. It's not how they wrapped up Voyager and DS9 to my recollection. So, I mean, and of course, Enterprise got screwed. We know that. So, I don't know. I'm just glad it's over. It's been 7 years since the show debuted, 5 seasons, quote unquote seasons. But, in modern TV, that's as few as 6 episodes sometimes. Discovery, I don't think ever went below 10. Its first couple of seasons had like 15. And in the end, that means it had something like 65 episodes, which is nothing. It's nothing. TNG had 65 episodes after its first 3 seasons, not even half of its run, although it might have taken into season 4 to get to 65 episodes. Anyway, half of its run. And Discovery was over in 65 episodes. I mean, thank goodness. But I think overall it was a lot of sound and fury signifying nothing. 65 episodes of really bad Star Trek. Okay, 63. Might have had 2 decent episodes the whole time. But like, just started bad, ended bad, was bad in the middle. I'm not going to miss it at all. I just feel badly for the actors, that their characters got screwed. I'm only glad that it gave us other shows. Star Trek Picard, the first 2 seasons were crap, but the 3rd season was good. We got 2 animated shows out of it that are good. And we got Strange New Worlds, which at this point has had 20 episodes, 10 of which have been good, which at least is 10 good episodes of Star Trek that we wouldn't have had without Discovery. So I guess I'm glad it existed from that point of view, but I won't miss it. It was a bad series, and that's really it. That's all I can say, I guess. So I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.